that the Detroit Pistons would have interest in trading for the hometown kid, Axel Lendenberg, if he's there at the 12th overall pick. So if you're Detroit and you don't really know what the future holds for Tobias Harris, and Yaxel is there at 12, I mean, are you calling up to try to trade up to 12 if he's still there?
12 seems pretty steep, man. The price is what your first this year and what maybe a first next year. Is it costing you another young player this year? That's an interesting one. Depending on the makeup of the squad and the players they believe are expendable, I could see it being very, very doable. Would I be shocked if on draft night we saw something like that, like a pick and I don't know, a Ron Holland? I wonder how people I do. I wonder how people pick swap in Ron Holland for Yaxel Lindenberg. I do wonder how people would respond and react to something like that. Because I believe that it takes something a little bit more to trade up to 12. Look, if this was a situation where he falls to that 17 or 18th pick, absolutely. Absolutely. I think this is one designed and delivered. I think he offers you in a much, 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 much more cheaper package. I get it. It's just a rookie, but older rookie, more polished. A little bit of what you want in that for position if you're talking about an upgrade over Tobias Harris eventually. Hopefully he can develop into something like that with the types of skill sets that he has. But if you're talking about 12, you're talking about a completely different contract slot as well. As if you're giving up any other assets, this guy has to work out as your starter. It's no longer a project. It's no longer a player that you want to see kind of get better over time. This is a player that you're saying is going to be the guy that can contribute for us and make a big difference in year one.
Yeah, like the OKC component, like I saw a report today from Jake Fisher that they might try to trade up in the draft to try to get Cameron Boozer, which I don't think is the case because they're going to have one of the most expensive salaries in the league next year. Chet's not going to be in a rookie deal. Jalen Williams is not going to be in a rookie deal. $41 million each for both of them, and also $40 million for SGA. They have a team option on Lou Dort at $18 million. Alex Caruso's making money. I mean, they have to make some roster changes because they only have one available roster spot. And they have 3 draft picks, 2 first-round picks. So I could totally see them trading out of both of these first-round draft picks just because I don't really think that they're in the mindset of bringing in another young kid to play meaningful minutes for them. It just gets to a point where I think for them, they want to stay in this championship window and win as many championships as they possibly can. So if Yax is there at 12, if I'm the Pistons, I would consider it. I just don't know what it would take. Like you mentioned, could it be a Ron Holland? Like, could Ron Holland be a Lou Dort replacement because he's got maybe 1 year left on his rookie deal?
Snap.
Like, I that would be just a perfect fit for her. That would be a perfect fit for him, honestly. But I would hate to see Ron go.
That'd be sneaky.
Yeah, it would be really sneaky. It would be a Sam Presti move if we're being honest.
Oh yeah, and I think there'll be a lot of Detroit Pistons fans that would actually be disappointed in something like that. Especially considering we probably have a large portion of Michigan State supporters. So replacing the Gold Blue guy, replacing one of the kind of dog pounds, one of the inventors of that thing. That's a little tough. And Ron Holland's a guy who he found his way on the court by just sheer hustle, desire, will, motor, and things of that nature. And I still believe that there is more in store for his offensive game, just based off of what you saw him doing in the G League. High volume guy, high efficient volume guy inside that perimeter. But in the NBA, we've seen it time and time again in this era. You got to have the outside shooting. And so, I know there's going to be some people who they shudder when they hear Ron Holland and these things. But like we continue to say, just the conversation, like if I could sign all these guys back and know all of them are going to reach my expectations, by all means. But I'm telling you guys, there was one point in time I thought Sadiq Bey was going to be, the greatest thing since sliced bread. And I appreciate it. And being able to cover these people and being able to talk to them, you appreciate what they're telling you, their journey, seeing them work. And now in year 5, bro, Anthony, it's year 5 for me. I'm going into year 6 covering the Pistons. You get a little bit different perspective. As a fan, you'll go down with the sinking ship,
Yeah.
but when you're talking like on this level of it, you get a little bit of a different perspective of it, and you start to realize the business of it all, and you start to understand you need some assets on this roster if you're going to go and effectively do a trade. And I see PD Mac, they're still walking around. I agree with that, but I do
Yeah.
wonder what that means for your timeline. Like, it looks like I wouldn't be surprised if this shaped up to be an offseason where they brought the band back and they just made some marginal tweaks again, like they did the last 2 off seasons. I think that that's a very real possibility.
Yeah, like I'm not advocating to trade Ron Holland. I just want to say
Yeah,
that first and
not at
foremost.
all.
I'm a very big Ron Holland fan,
Just a
and
possibility.
I know JB puts him in a box in terms of being that hustle and that glue guy, and he's just playing within a defined role. Because I know from watching him in the G League Ignite, there's a lot there that he doesn't fully get to display because he's just playing off the bench in a 60-win team, a playoff team. But I think that's the type of move you would probably have to consider with OKC because OKC's is not going to give up a prime late lottery pick for nothing. They're probably going to be looking at some of your bench pieces that are a little bit cheaper than maybe a Lou Dort or whatever it may be. But I did see this report, and there was another guy that did work out with the Pistons last night, and I wanted to ask you this because I know you guys cover a lot of Piston stuff at Woodward Sports, so it's just kind of like a fun little question with the NBA draft coming up. So if you had to pick one of these prospects to trade up, Yaxel Lundenberger, Cameron Carr, who would you pick?
Oh man. And you're talking philosophies too.
Yep.
Oh man, Anthony, come on, why'd you do this to me?
It's a tough one. I've been going back and
uh,
forth all day.
Bro, am I a bad Michigan fan if I said Cameron Carr?
No, not at all.
Am I a bad Michigan fan if I say Cameron Carr? Like, the offensive game is so, it just feels like he can do this on his own. Like, you can give him the ball, he can just get out his way and let him just operate. The shooting ability, and I like Yaxel Lindenberg a lot and everything he could really present, but Cameron Carr, man, I like the dynamic offensive ability of him and the two-way ability too. I'm hoping that that's something that they're prioritizing in these players they're getting. Him and Isaiah Evans and such. But I think Cameron Carr is the guy for me.
You know who Cameron Carr reminds me a lot? It's a fan. It's a player that a lot of Pistons fans have been actually kind of pounding the table for. It reminds me a lot of Trey Murphy when I watch him. Like he can shoot the three. He's really athletic. He can defend. He could defend a little bit.
Finishes with the dunk.
Yeah, like I like Cameron Carr a lot, and it was really interesting that the Pistons brought him in for a pre-draft workout already. Now, why would you bring in Cameron Carr in for a pre-draft workout when you're at 21 and he's projected to go top 15? What is the front office trying to tell me? Like, why are you working out prospects in the top 15? Are you like, is Trajan falling in love with this archetype? Because we know he loves wings. I think Cam Carr definitely fits into that 2-3 mold that he really likes. I mean, I see a lot of similarities to like a Trey Murphy type of archetype when I watch Cam Carr.
Oh yeah. Especially like when you're talking about the level of investment you'd have to make. Now Trey Murphy is actualized value. That's somebody who's proven it already in the NBA. You got to figure out, is what Cameron Carr doing right now going to be something that can translate if you're looking for some elements of what he can bring to this team. I think one of the major benefits for the Detroit Pistons is the fact that you do have Cade Cunningham right here on this team. I believe that helps already elevate things for anybody you add to the squad. Not that makes everybody good. You know what I'm saying? But I liked what I saw out of Danis Jenkins being able to play alongside Kate Cunningham and how he learned to grow into that role. Now you're talking about taking somebody in Cameron Carr, who, though I like Danis Jenkins a lot, I got to cover him since Summer League. They're doing a lot of the interviews and things of that nature. Like Cameron Carr is a player who is a prospect that'll be coming in with rated higher rated skill set, and expectation. And now you're talking about bringing him to a squad that has these players that you see developing very, very well. So when I hear Trajan Langdon identifying someone like a Cameron Carr with his skill set, that's where I'm just like, ooh. Because I wasn't, I know that the Pistons, by trading from 28 to 21, they put themselves in a very, very good position. If you're 28, might as well just trade back into the second round, get a couple shots. I'm just being for real. But at 21, you give yourself even that much more of an opportunity to trade up, and you're not having to break the bank. Even if it's just a few moves up, like you said, if Carr falls to 16, 17, or maybe 18, I'm trading with OKC. I'm trading to get a guy like a Cameron Carr, who I think can give you, is it safe to say, lottery-like potential from a draft pick that you could probably get outside the lottery?
Yeah, I mean, before the NBA Combine, he was mocked to the Pistons for several months, like several months, and then he drops 30 points at the NBA Combine and he shoots up to 15. So, I mean, I think a lot of the GMs across the league kind of see his value as a prospect. There's a lot of prospects I do like for the Pistons at 21. But I would be lying to you if I said I wouldn't be excited with the idea of like if he's there, like let's say 16, 17, and you're moving up a couple of spots, and maybe you have to give up uh maybe future seconds, maybe the end of a bench player like a Marcus Sasser. Like I wouldn't lose sleep over it. Like I would be like pretty happy because I know this guy can play in between a two and a three. Defensively, I think there are times where like he falls asleep and it's not the best processing, but I know no prospect is like perfect. They're just not. But I would be pretty excited with the Cam Carr if they were able to land him in this upcoming draft.
I would be. I would be too, man. Like I said, is I think the ability to kind of have his offensive game be activated no matter what the scenario or the situation is. So if you're in transition, if it's a fast break that started off of defense, turning defense to offense, if you're in your half court sets, he's a player that shows proficiency across the board from an offensive standpoint. And that to me is what excites me. Like I know that we loaded up on we needed to get some more gritty guys. You look at it, there was a time where Isaiah Stewart, shout out B. Stu, represented the Detroit Pistons' toughness and grittiness, right? And now you look and there's a Paul Reed, there's a Ron Holland, there's a Javonte Green, there's a Dennis. There's guys who are now growing into those dog pounds or nasty boys as they were dubbed by JB Bickerstaff. Bro, man, shout out, bro, shout out.
I'm
But
never
yeah,
calling
man,
another man a nasty boy with a straight face.
but yeah, that was something. That was something. We'll say that. I was in that press. Like, all right, that's something. But I feel now might be a time to, when you look at your draft of philosophy, maybe if for your wings you're looking for more of the two-way minded guards. We're not neglecting defense. Maybe their defense isn't as good as Ron Holland. Maybe it's not as good as an opportunity as Asar Thompson, but maybe they're bringing a little bit more on the offensive side to be able to give you more of that balance. So I'm hoping for something of that nature for the Detroit Pistons in this draft.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. I think they will get a quality player now, whether they trade up in the draft for maybe like a Yaxel, a Camp Carr, or another prospect that we're not
Yeah.
discussing right now. But I do think a lot of Pistons fans, once they saw Camp Carr, they're like, "Yo, like, are we trading up in the draft? Like, what's going on? Like, why would we work out a guy that high up in these draft boards and these mock drafts?" But I do want to stick with draft, and then we can kind of wrap up this podcast. So I don't know how deep you've been able to look at these prospects, but if there's just one prospect you like for the Pistons at 21, who would it be?
One prospect, I've been going back and forth between. Well, if it's one prospect, I think will be there for them. I don't think Cam will be there. I think Isaiah Evans.
Yep.
Another guard, 6'5" type guy, can shoot from behind the arc. In terms of a guy, I hope or I expect to be there for the Pistons at 21. It's definitely Isaiah Evans for me. Definitely.
Yeah,
I like the way
you
he
kind
plays, getting into the lane and finishing.
you see a lot of Malik Monk and Malik Beasley in his game, the way he's able just to shoot threes and like not just shoot threes, like just loft these things from like NBA range, like 7 a game on
Oh yeah.
36% from three. Um, Almost like when I was watching tape with him and I'm looking at that high release, I was like, bro, that's like kind of like a Brandon Ingram type of release. Like there's a lot to like about Isaiah Evans. I see a lot of Pistons fans talk about him. And in a lot of mocks, like he's actually like around like 24, 25. I don't really know why he's not highly rated in these mock drafts from these experts,
Mhm.
but he's definitely a player that I like a lot. I'll give you one as well, just to kind of stick with this topic. Um, I watched a lot of tape on Ibuka Okori, who's a point guard at Stanford. And I know Trajan
Mm.
talked about ball handling. And I know we have Danish Jenkins, but when I watch Danish Jenkins, he may play the point guard position, but I feel like he's way better off ball as a two guard. It's just my opinion. I think Okori to me is a low turnover, high assist guard that loves to play in the half court, can run in transition, and just makes really
Setting
sound
things
basketball
up.
decisions. Yeah, like kind of reminds you of Jaden Ivey a little bit, but more under control. More under control.
I like that actually, and I think one of the more underrated aspects of Jaden Ivey's game was honestly his facilitation. While he was here at the Pistons, you saw it get better year after year, and when he was able to get some light run next to Cade Cunningham, I saw his passing get even better. There was a stretch of that kind of 17 games, the famed 17 games of Jaden Ivey before the injury, where after a little bit of a rough start, Cade Cunningham's best minutes and time shooting a three came off of Jaden Ivey facilitation, getting down the hill, attracting the defense, and then kicking it out to Cade Cunningham. Literally, while Cade hasn't seen that type of defense played against him or the lack thereof in a long time. And I get it. They still would have brought a little bit tougher defense as he continued to get better. But I agree with you, man. You get a player in here that can bring that type of dynamic. I love it. That's why I asked earlier, like, I wonder what the philosophy is going into this. Are you looking for a heavy ball handler type? Are you looking to change up what your wings look like? Put a little bit more offense into your wing mix? Or are you looking to go and get some size? I just feel like if you get where they're picking, I don't know if there's like a very transformative or impactful big. I know there's a
Yeah.
couple, but I just don't know if it in terms of what you're gonna have in terms of the 6'5", kind of 6'6" big guard, athletic, outside shooting, defense to offense type guys. They're gonna have some pretty good options if you're the Detroit Pistons to find an impact player like that.
I think in the front court, one guy that might be there is Joshua Jefferson out of Iowa State. He's a senior. He'll be a little bit older. He'll be like 22 and a half by the time the Pistons do draft him. He's a guy that you could look at. Alan Graves is another guy that could possibly be there if you're looking at power forward. Um, I think every Michigan prospect is probably going to be gone by the time the Pistons are
Mm,
drafting at 21. I know I saw you and Braylon talk about Murrez Johnson Jr. over at Woodward, which
That's not happening.
I can't see him being there. I think all the Michigan kids in this first
Tomorrow.
round will be gone by 21. Like Ade Mara, who I think a lot of Pistons fans would love because he's like a 7-footer and can put the ball on the floor and protect the rim. Yaxel will be gone. Johnson will be gone. Like there's just like there's obviously talent at 21, but I don't think you're really going to be able to supplement like a long term power forward right away. I would say.
Yeah, no, I think you're preaching that. Shout out to Mr. Detroit Twitter. I see him. He said Anthony knows ball. Corey is him. That's another player we talked about. I know Anton brought him up as well, and if you get an opportunity, I think if to get a guard like that low, you really think tough about it. Like, but where are you playing those types of guards? Especially, I saw oh goodness gracious, I'm forgetting his name. Who's the point guard from Iowa?
Oh, Bennett Sturts?
Yeah. And I see some
Yeah.
people they talk about it. I'm like, you know, is this a player that will come in and take it from, take the reins, I guess, from a Danish Jenkins type of thing? Is he somebody that's coming in and compete? If you pick a player at that point, I believe that you have an opportunity to go out there and get a player that you know can be impactful from a variety of ways, more so than maybe the outside shooter, the good outside shooting shorter guard. I don't know
Yeah.
if the 6'2" and under, like with our cornerbacks, how we want our cornerbacks to pass like the 6'1", 6 foot test now. With our guards, I think I'm looking for more of a rangy, kind of athletic, offensive, still got that two-way mindset of a 6'5" to maybe 6'8" type of guy. Definitely.
Yeah. Bennett Sturts is interesting. I don't know if he'll be there at 21. I know he's like mocked anywhere from like 17 to 19. Um,
Yeah.
to me, I don't think he plays point guard at the NBA level. I see him being more of an undersized two guard. Like when you
Undersized
watch him play,
combo. Yeah.
yeah, like when you watch him play, like you kind of see it like flashes of Tyler Hero coming off screens. Like you see the shot making ability kind of reminds you of Fred Van Vliet a little bit. Like I'm not really under the impression that he's an everyday point guard.
Facilitator, like, yeah.
Yeah, like, but man, can that kid shoot the shit out the ball? Like
But
he's
that's why I
got
brought him up. Like, I can you what are you doing with a player like that at 6'2" and under? Where do you effectively hide him now? If he's shooting the ball, like, and he's actually like knocking that down, is that an aspect of the philosophy that you're looking for? I think he might be one of those few shorter players in this thing, and I say shorter, not short, that might transcend that for you. But for me, I don't know. I don't know.
yeah,
I'm still looking for the 6'5" to 6'7" guy.
it's difficult because like I'm not comparing Bennett Sturge to Marcus Sasser, but Marcus Sasser is a similar size. It being like I'll be generous and say Marcus Sasser is 6'2" when I know he's not 6'2". I'll just be generous
I'm
because
I'm I'm just under. I'm like 6'2" with shoes on, right? Just under 6'2" without. I've interviewed Marcus Sasser face to face. A little taller than Marcus Sasser.
yeah, like I mean I
Yeah,
know sometimes they kind of fabricate like the heights on NBA.com, but it's interesting. It's a philosophy of JB Bickerstaff. Like you talk about the bigger guards. I'm thinking about the wing out of Texas, but he's not really a shooter yet. He's more of just like a transition, backdoor cut, movement type of scorer right now.
opportunistic. Yeah,
Yeah, like I don't when you look at the shooters in this draft, like Isaiah Evans probably makes the most sense because he's over 6'5". He can play in between the 2 and 3. I think he
finish
does
up
make a lot
paint.
of sense. Like I like Malik Thomas, but he's 6'3". But
Yeah,
like it doesn't bother me that he's 6'3". Like when I look at Malik Thomas, like I see a lot of similarities to how Jordan Poole likes to operate out of the half court. Like just like let me get
that's
to my spot, let me take over this game. I'm getting us a bucket type of player. Like Malik Thomas, I think will make one organization very happy because if you're just looking for a guy that score the basketball, that is his elite skills trait, in my opinion.
you know what the conversation does, because I'm just sitting here and I'm like, dang, because we all go on with our different, things that we are going to prioritize in a draft, like, and as we know, Trajan Langdon and Co are going to. But what the conversation actually does is it shows you this: the Pistons, by trading it from 28 to 21, put themselves in a really, really good position here. I'm not saying great because obviously that's one in which you're able to go out there and get you a lottery player, but in terms of finding an impact player, well, what have they done over the years in this kind of 16 to 21 range, 16 to 22 range? We've seen them be able to go and find some impact players. And that's where I'm looking forward to this draft where we're talking about a lot of names. Some that might be just before the Pistons pick. Some we believe will be there. Some we believe will be available even after the Pistons pick potentially. But all of these players, I'm sitting here hearing names. I'm like, man, these guys have some pretty unique skill sets and traits that I do believe can slot in right now. We're not asking our draft picks anymore to be the saviors of the franchise. We're asking them now to come in and make your name by, hey, here's a lane that I have you in. Let's rock. So it'd be interesting to see.
Yeah. I mean, the only two guard off the top of my head in this draft that you maybe, and to me, I think this would be a reach of 21, but Richie Sanders out of BYU is a senior. He's a shooting guard. He's a little bit taller. Can shoot the 3-point ball pretty decently. Maybe you can talk yourself into Richie Sanders. Like there's not really a bunch of two guards that kind of fit the bill of being over 6'5". There's one that I told you before we started, and that's Tonde Yesufu, and he shot 29% from 3 at Baylor next to Cameron Carr. But like he's the archetype you look at. Like he kind of reminds you of like an OG Anunoby if he hits his absolute ceiling. Like he's got the NBA body already. Like he's a 6'5", 220-pound 2-3. Like you absolutely love that if you're an organization at the back end of the first round. But I don't think the Pistons can afford to draft another project player. I just don't.
No.
I think they have to. At 21, if they stay there, it has to be a player that fits into what they're looking for. And I think, to me personally, in this draft, they're probably looking for more 3-point snipers. And your pick, I think Isaiah Evans is spot on the nose. I think he checks a lot of boxes off. And it would be Trajan Langdon's first University of Duke player. I mean, maybe there's some favoritism there, man. Maybe there's some favoritism there. You never know.
Hey, you know what? And I wouldn't be mad at that pick. Like, look, if the Pistons wound up with one of those Michigan players, if they wound up with Yaxel Vandenborg, I'm a happy person. Like I said, I believe the Pistons, by trading up to 21, and I'm glad that they favored, wanting to win. They favored wanting to go out there, win every game, and they didn't hurt themselves at all in the aspects of drafts because they were able to trade their pick. And even though it looked like they were, what are the Timberwolves doing towards the end of the season? There were some people wondering, whoa, are the Pistons going to get this pick swap? You know what? It worked out for them, and I think it did because they chose in some regard to, I won't call it aggressive, but be proactive with their moves. You couldn't go into the offseason with where Jaden Ivey was, understanding the cap hold he was going to have. That thing would have been an albatross. And it takes away a lot of your flexibility early in the free agency in the draft season. So, I don't know, man. I ultimately am comfortable with the mindset of Trajan Langdon. It's just we haven't seen yet when he's trying to swing for the fences or when it looks like we might need a home run. Who is Trajan Langdon then? And that's one where we're going to learn a lot about the squad and about their philosophy really, really quickly here, man. But this draft, it presents, in my opinion, the ability to go out there and, like you said, not have to get a project player, but I believe they're going to have their pick of multiple impact players at 21. I really do.
Yeah. The only player I hope they don't draft is Koa Pete. Just stay away from him with a 10-foot pole. It's got Henry Ellison vibes written all over it.
Oh, snap. We don't need no more Summer League Henry Ellison.
Hey, man,
Summer League Henry Ellison? Come on now.
Or the week that he was with the New York Knicks and they were calling him, they were basically saying he was better than Kristaps Porzingis.